Hello, my friends. Chris Parsons here, author of It Starts With You, The Secret to a Passionate Marriage and Peaceful Home, even if your spouse doesn't want to change. Today's topic is on balancing, supporting, and challenging your spouse. So first, let's talk about what unhealthy challenging and unhealthy supporting looks like, because this is what a lot of people are doing. The unhealthy form of challenging looks like criticism, looks like making your spouse feel like they aren't good enough, nothing they do is enough. It looks like unwelcomed opinions, right? Or helpful feedback, where you think you're being helpful by providing negative commentary. You are maybe tearing your spouse down, making them feel bad about themselves. That is not challenging your spouse. That is tearing them down. It's creating an image for them to live down to, because it creates an image of who you believe they are that is low. And so they live down to that, rather than creating an image of them that is high that they then want to live up to. Unhealthy supporting looks like enabling. It looks like doing anything and everything to try to make your spouse happy, to try to not rock the boat, to put their needs above your own, and to really sacrifice yourself at the altar of their happiness, which doesn't make them happy. It makes them not respect you. It makes them feel disappointed in themselves for being with you, because they don't feel challenged. They don't feel excited. They don't like who they are when they're with you. And so, I had a girlfriend long before I met my wife, who let me walk all over her. And I hated, and this was a very sweet, kind girl, but she was an enabler because she let me walk all over her. And I hated who I was when I was with her, because that's not who I wanted to be. I didn't want to be somebody that walked all over people. But when somebody lets you do it, and they subconsciously really encourage you to do it, you can't help but do it. So that's what unhealthy challenging and supporting looks like. And oftentimes what I find is that people are more of one or the other, and they don't have a healthy balance of supporting and challenging their spouse. So what does a healthy support and challenge look like? Well, healthy support is telling your spouse that you believe in them, telling them, let's just use the example that your spouse wants to open a business, okay? Supporting them is telling them that you believe in them, that you think that they are incredible, they are capable, that you want to know how you can help, that you want to know, what you can do to support them, that allows them, encourages them to pursue this. If that's all you are, that's a problem, okay? And that's our whole world right now, these days. Everywhere you look, all anybody wants is support. Everybody wants to be supported. And that's enabling when it's not balanced by challenging, right? Because all support makes you feel good about yourself for a little while, but then your results suck, and you look at your life, you look at your marriage, you look at your business, and you say, yeah, I mean, I feel really good about myself for all the things that I thought I did because I was supposed to do them, but I'm not getting the result. And so it leads to a place of constant frustration. What people need is a balance of support and challenge. So what would challenging your spouse look like if they wanted to open a business? Well, that would look like saying, so how are you going to get customers? Okay. What skills are you going to have to learn in order to launch this and grow it? What kind of financial, things do we need in place for you to be able to pursue this? What challenging is saying, okay, let's take a look at what the real things are, and then being willing to hold up a mirror and show them when they're doing things wrong, right? Not in a critical, attacking way, but in a helpful, genuine concern and care way. And I really learned this lesson. It became really, really crystal clear to me in coaching my clients and their marriages. You know, as somebody that believes in investing in himself and in coaching and programs, I have found the biggest problem with all the coaches and programs that I've done is that they are all support and no challenge. There's nobody there that's calling you out on your lies, your excuses, your BS. There's nobody that's saying, well, if you're not getting the result you want, are you looking at yourself and who you are being that's incongruent with the result that you want to get? Because whatever result you want has to be congruent with how you are being. If it's not congruent, you will not get the results. Maybe for a short time you will, but they won't last. And so I realized I had to equally support and challenge my clients. I had to cheer them on. I had to tell them that I believed in them. I had to support them when they struggled, but never, ever at the expense of not challenging them, because I don't want people that come into the program just to feel good about themselves for doing something, right? That is a powerful thing, and there's nothing wrong with feeling the need to do something. I think that is absolutely important. Who wants to walk away from their marriage and from the life that they've built with their spouse without knowing that they've done all that they can? But just feeling good about yourself because you did something, it's not enough. It's not enough. And you have to be willing to be challenged. And you have to be willing to challenge your spouse. You have to deal with your fears, your fear of abandonment, your fear of rejection, your fear of hurting your spouse's feelings and them not loving you, and all these things you have to deal with in order to be the person that you need to be to have a happy, healthy marriage. And so I often talk to people that they have one of the two extremes, either, and it's the people who are really, they sound so nice and sweet oftentimes, and this can be men or women, but I can tell from the things that they're describing, the situations in their marriage, they are being an enabler. They are not willing to challenge their spouse, and that's their own issues that they have to deal with in order to be able to do that. And I can make a separate video talking about, how I help people deal with those issues. But so that's one side that I see, is people who are they're obviously enablers. The other side that I see, and I see this more commonly with women and wives, is that it's really apparent that they've made their husband feel like a failure and like they aren't good enough, and nothing they do is enough to make them happy. And there's nothing that human beings run from more than feeling inadequate. But men especially. I work with wives that have made their husbands feel like that for years and decades. And if you're on that path right now, where that's how you're making your husband feel, or wife, it does happen with husbands, it's just less common for whatever reason, then there will come a day where he or she says, if I'm not enough, I'm done. Why would I keep making myself feel this way? And the thing is, what's tricky about it is that sometimes in the short term, making your spouse feel that way will make them try harder, which you might think is you getting what you want because you made them feel bad about themselves, so now they're trying harder, which you think is a good thing. But it's not genuine. It's not healthy. And it's short term. It's not long term. It is not sustainable. And of course, people don't realize that they're doing this. They don't recognize that they are creating these problems by how they treat their spouse. But that's why I wrote the book. It starts with you, to show you all the ways that you are affecting your spouse that you don't realize. And we have such tremendous impact on our spouse and who they are. And I'm going to keep making videos and talking about different ways that we do that, because I think a lot of people just don't realize. They think that everything is a character defect. And so they say, well, my spouse is doing this. There's just something wrong with them. But if I ask, well, were they always that way? No. Oh, okay. So that's not how they were when you married them, or else you probably would not have married them. So you either allowed that change to happen in them, right? Bare minimum. Sorry, my face is itchy. By the way, I'm thinking about doing a goatee. I don't know. I feel like I should mix it up. What do you think? Not that that's on topic. And so, gosh, I don't even remember what I was talking about now. It's embarrassing. I didn't have coffee today. Maybe not fully present. Obviously, looking at my own beard while I film this. But I'm not perfect. You aren't perfect either. Your spouse isn't perfect. How you change your spouse. Yeah, so at a minimum, you allow your spouse to change without enforcing healthy boundaries, without having open, healthy communication to deal with what's really going on, why they're changing in this way that is not a positive for you or the marriage. But more often than not, it's even deeper than that. It's more often that you are subconsciously, unknowingly creating this change in your spouse. One I see is spouses become really mean and critical, right? So we were talking earlier about how you don't want to be mean and critical because of what that does to your spouse. But what if your spouse is doing that to you? They're being mean and critical to you. You have allowed them to treat you that way. right? You have made that acceptable. You have, and here's the thing, it's not just about making it unacceptable. It's about what did you do before that created that feeling of resentment in them that now they are acting that way towards you. And one of the most important skills that nobody is talking about is resolving past hurts. And that's one of the biggest ones that I see, is that your spouse is holding on to a past hurt that you do not have the skill to resolve, and it stays as baggage. And until you deal with that, until you learn that skill of resolving those hurts, that's why they're being mean and critical, because hurt people. And they want to hurt you subconsciously, right? All these things that I deal with, it's not conscious things that we know what we're doing or why we're doing it. It's all things that are happening at a much, much deeper level. And everything has much deeper levels than what we think it does. And so it's really about, one, what are you doing that's creating the pain in them, right? And then two, resolving that so that it's not baggage and making them want to hurt you. And of course, the next step is not allowing it. But if you try to just not allow it without dealing with the reason for it, it's just going to create more conflict, right? And some conflict is healthy in a marriage. You're not going to agree on everything. You're not going to see eye to eye on everything immediately. But if you don't have a process for resolving hurts, you're not going to see eye to eye on anything, right? Everything's going to be a battle. Everything's going to be a compromise. Everything's going to be a, you have to pick and choose what things you want to fight for, whether it's worth it. Those are coping mechanisms for an unhealthy, unhappy marriage. They are not part of a happy, healthy marriage. So we really got off topic from talking about balancing, supporting your spouse, and challenging your spouse. But I think we're kind of coming full circle to also recognizing that you need to be supported and challenged. And you can help your spouse do that for you, right? It really comes down to your ability to have deep conversations and your willingness to show up as the person that you want to show up as, the person that you know that your spouse would respond positively to. When you show up as that person authentically, not because you're trying to change the surface level things that they complain about, but because you've had a true personal transformation in who you are, so that you have let go of the false beliefs, the lies, the feelings that are keeping you trapped where you are, so that you can show up as that person, then everything else comes easy. All the skills, resolving past hurts, conflict resolution, communication, it's all so simple. But the foundation of the work that I do with my clients is in allowing them, first you have to get clear on who that person that you want to be is. And then allowing you to be that person. It's not about creating an image of a perfect person, because a perfect person doesn't exist. There's no such thing as an ideal person. You have certain aspects to your personality that are innate. I have 4 kids. They have 4 different personalities that have been there since they were about 1 year old. And it's not about changing that. It's about allowing that to come out in the healthiest way possible, rather than in the toxic ways that we've developed over the course of a lifetime in a marriage. All right, my friends, we're at 20 minutes. That's a long video for today. And thank you. Have a great rest of your day.